Hi guys, this is to review the Punnett Square practice worksheet answers after you have turned it into the portal. So for part A, we had to match the definitions to their vocab terms. So for number 1, genotypes with the same alleles, that's going to be homozygous. So number 1 should have been D. Number 2, different forms of genes for a single trait. Those are going to be alleles. Number 3, a gene that is always expressed. That's going to be the dominant. So that's going to be the one that always wins every single time. So that's B. Number 4, gene that is expressed only in the homozygous state. So that's going to be your recessive alleles. Those are going to be the ones that have to have 2 copies in order to see them. Number 5, genotypes made of 2 different alleles. That's going to be the heterozygous. So that is going to be C. So for your matching, D, A, B, E, C are going to be your answers. Number 6, homozygous dominant. So you had to highlight the genotypes that fit that description. So homozygous, meaning 2 of the same. Dominant, meaning those are going to be represented by capital letters. So you're looking for 2 of the same, and so they both have to be dominant. So this first one definitely matches that description. So we're going to highlight that one. The second one is actually a hybrid because it's one of each, a dominant and a recessive. This one definitely is homozygous dominant. This one is homozygous because they're both matching, but they're both recessive, so that one doesn't match. This is also homozygous recessive, so that one's out. This one is hybrid. We have 1 of each, so that's out. But this last one is matching and both dominant, so that one's going to fit that description. Number 7, homozygous recessive. So 2 of the same, and recessive being the lowercase letters. So this first one matches that description. This one is hybrid. It has 1 of each, so it's out. This one is homozygous, but it is dominant because they're both capital letters, so that one's out. This one is hybrid because they're 2 different. And this one is going to match that description. It is homozygous recessive, so that one matches. This one is out because it's hybrid. We have 1 of each. But this last one is also homozygous, 2 of the same, and both recessive. Number 8, genotypes in which dominant genes must show. So the dominant gene, if it is present even 1 copy, it will show in that phenotype. So this one has 2 dominant copies, so it's definitely going to show there. This one is hybrid, so it's absolutely going to, again, just that 1 copy is all it needs for that dominant allele to show. Same for this guy. It has 2 copies of the dominant. This one is 2 recessive alleles, so that one is out. It's not going to show the dominant allele. This one is a hybrid, so that one will show the dominant allele. Same for this guy. And this one also is going to show the dominant allele. So the only one that is out is the 2 copies of the recessive allele. That one will not show the dominant because it is not present. Number 9, genotypes in which the recessive gene must show. So for the recessive allele to show, it's going to have 2 copies. It can't have any dominant alleles present because that dominant allele will win every single time. So this first guy will show the recessive allele because we have 2 copies of it. This one has a single dominant allele, so it is out. Same for this one. This one has 2 copies of the dominant allele, so it is out. But this one, 2 copies of the recessive allele, finally gets a chance to shine. These 2 are both hybrids with 1 copy of the dominant allele, so that recessive allele will not show. So this for number 9, just these 2 match that description. So moving on to part B, Punnett squares. So we had to examine the Punnett squares and circle those that were correct. So you had to look at the parents and determine if the offspring in the middle were correctly filled out. So for this first one, we have a capital D coming from the top, lowercase d coming from the side, so that first box, A-OK. For this one, lowercase d and lowercase d, so that box is fine. Same for this one, capital D, lowercase d, looks good. And this one also, lowercase d, looks good. So we are going to put our circle around it because that one is absolutely filled out correctly. Second one, capital D from the top, lowercase d from the side, looks good. This one has capital D from the top, but the lowercase d from the side is missing. Instead, it has two capital D's. So that one is going to be out. It is incorrect, not an option. For this one, capital A from the top, capital A from the side, looks good. This one's going to have a lowercase a from the top and a capital from the side, but the offspring does not match that. It has two lowercase a's, which is not what those parents show for this box. So this one is also incorrect. That one's out. It's not an option. For this one, capital A from the top, lowercase a from the side, looks good. Capital A from the top here, lowercase a from the side, also fits that. Capital A from the top, lowercase a from the side, looks good. And this one's also going to be lowercase, and that's what's showing here. So this one is also absolutely correct. So we had to copy and paste and bring that circle over here for this one because that one was also correct. So these two are the two correctly completed Punnett squares. Number 11. What do the letters on the outside of the Punnett square stand for? So the letters on the outside represent those parents, and they're specifically the parents' genotypes. So if you put just the parents, totally fine. If you went above and beyond and put the parents' genotypes, even better. So these are going to be the parents' genotypes. Number 12, what do the letters on the inside of the Punnett square stand for? So these guys in the middle, we know that these are all potential offspring. So these are going to stand for the potential offspring's genotypes. So if you just put offsprings, totally fine. If you put potential offsprings, totally fine. If you went above and beyond again and put potential offspring's genotype, even better. But I would have taken any of those answers as correct. On the second page, number 13, in corn plants, normal height, capital N, is dominant to short height, lowercase n. Complete these 4 Punnett squares showing the different crosses. So we had to fill in these different boxes here. So for this first one, we had a capital N coming from the top, lowercase n coming from the side. This one is going to be the same thing. Capital N coming from the top, lowercase n coming from the side. And we're going to have the same exact thing going on here. Again, you'll notice when you have 2 homozygous parents, all of the offspring are going to look exactly the same. So we have capital N coming from the top, lowercase n from the side. So all of the offspring look exactly the same because these 2 parents are both homozygous. When both parents are homozygous, again, that means all of the offspring are going to be identical. This next box, for this first one, we have a capital N coming from the top and a capital N coming from the side. For this one, we're going to have a lowercase n coming from the top and a capital N coming from the side. But remember, we always put the dominant allele first, no matter where it's coming from. If we have one present, it's going to go first. So we have a capital N, lowercase n combination there. For this one, we have a capital N coming from the top, capital N coming from the side. And this one again, lowercase n coming from the top, capital coming from the side, but we're always going to put that dominant allele first when we're writing out a genotype. This next one, capital N from the top, capital N from the side. Same situation here, lowercase coming from the top, capital coming from the side, but that dominant one is always going to go first. This one we got capital N, lowercase n. And this last box here, lowercase and lowercase n. And our last Punnett square to fill in for this section. So we have capital N coming from the top, lowercase n coming from the side. And 2 lowercase n's coming here. This cross is also going to show capital N, lowercase n. And this one will have that lowercase and lowercase n as well. Number 14. In guinea pigs, short hair, capital H, is dominant to long hair, lowercase h. Complete the following Punnett squares according to the directions given. Then fill in the blanks beside each Punnett square with the correct numbers. So, part A. One guinea pig parent is hybrid short hair and the other has long hair. So we have to fill in the parents first. Doesn't matter which parent goes on the top or the side, either one can go either place, but we have to have a hybrid short hair parent. So hybrid meaning it has two different alleles. So this top one, I'm going to make the hybrid short hair. So if it's hybrid, we have to have two different, so one dominant and one recessive. And then the other parent has long hair. In order for that long hair to show, we're going to have two copies of the recessive allele. So this parent is going to be lowercase h and lowercase h. So that's our two parents. Now that we have our parents completed, we can fill in those offspring. So for this first offspring, capital H from the top, lowercase from the sides, we have a hybrid offspring. For this one, we have lowercase and lowercase, so that is going to be homozygous recessive. For this one, we got capital and a lowercase, so we have another hybrid. And this one, we're also going to have two lowercase. Ooh. Edit undo, our best friend. So, lowercase and lowercase. So now that we have our Punnett square completed, we can answer the expected number of offspring. So for short hair, we're looking for the genotypes that have at least one copy of the dominant allele. So that could have been two copies or one copy, as long as it has at least one dominant allele, that offspring is going to show short hair. So if we're looking at our Punnett square, we can see these two offspring here would have shown short hair, so they absolutely would have fit. These two, on the other hand, are homozygous recessive, so these guys are going to show the long hair. So we have two long hair offspring here and two short offspring here. So we have two short hair and two long hair based on the Punnett square that we completed. Part B. Both guinea pig parents are heterozygous for short hair. So we know both parents heterozygous, aka hybrid. So they're going to have two different alleles. So they're going to have one dominant and one recessive. So they're both going to be exactly the same. So they're going to both be capital and lowercase because they are heterozygous, again, meaning they have one copy of each allele. So capital and lowercase. So now that we have both parents done, we can fill in those offspring. So for this first offspring, we have capital H and capital H coming together. For this one, we have lowercase and capital coming together. Again, that capital, that dominant allele, always goes first. Same thing for this one, capital and lowercase coming together. So we're going to have one of each. And this one, we're going to have lowercase and lowercase. So we're going to have a homozygous recessive offspring. Now that we've completed our Punnett square, we can now complete the expected number of offspring. So I didn't give you the hints here, but it was the same scenario, so we can use that to help us out if you had forgotten. For short hair, if it had at least one copy of the dominant allele, then it would have had short hair. So if we're looking at our Punnett square, we have 1, 2, 3 offspring that have at least one copy of the dominant allele. So 3 of the 4 would have had short hair. Looking for long hair, again, long hair being recessive, both of the alleles had to show recessive in order for that guinea pig to have long hair. So only one of them would have had long hair in this scenario. So that is it for these guys. Please go back, check your work. If you're confused about how I got any of these answers, please let me know, ask me on Teams, or you can ask me in